Hi everybody. I would like to talk about the bifurcation of timelines because I know that we are witnessing this more and more greatly in the collective reality. Things are really moving fast and changing, and we are noticing a divide more and more between two humanities, really. And so I wanted to touch on that concept a little bit. So first of all, I'm going to explain what the bifurcation of timeline is for those who don't know, though I'm sure many of you watching already know, but I think it's a good thing to repeat. The bifurcation of timeline is that right now we are in understand there are ascension cycles in the universe. Our solar system works in this way. We go through cycles called ascension cycles, through which consciousness is able to learn and grow and expand onto the next cycle, the next realm, the next reality, with a higher perspective, higher perception of reality, higher understanding, which is the next dimension. And so right now, or the next collective of dimensions, because they work in three. So that's a little bit besides the point. I'm not going to dive too deep into this right now, sorry. So those cycles last 26,000 years on average, roughly. And right now one is coming to the end. And the previous shift from one cycle to another was hijacked, so we were not able to move through the natural processes of consciousness expansion and of spiritual growth and move on to the next dimension and next experience with a wider see it as a wider perspective, a wider spectrum, you know. So if you shift dimension, you have one dimension here, and then the next one you see this much, and then the next one you see this much, and until you're able to see a full 360. More or less, that's how we can visualize it, I think. And so we were not able to move to the next reality, the next experience, because our cycle was thwarted and hijacked. Our very incarnation purpose, for instance, was interfered with, and we were not able to learn from one incarnation to another, and we were just forcefully reincarnated and render amnesiac and forget everything from the previous life. So without ever learning the lessons from our previous life. This is why history keeps repeating itself. It's very obvious if you research a little bit about the history of humanity and our current civilization. You see that history repeats itself. Even from the previous Atlantean and Lemurian civilization, there are similar cycles repeating, because a lot of us came from those civilizations, and we went through the fall, and we are still under amnesia and hypnosis. So history has been repeating itself like so. This cycle now is ending. So this is the end of this 26,000 year long cycle. Around 2012, the most prominent tool for controlling our incarnation processes and ascension processes, which was a frequency net over the planet, so some kind of a barrier, you know, around of energetic frequency barrier around the planet that didn't allow for higher frequencies to come through to the planet. So this was breached in 2012 with the famous portal in December. I can't remember if it was the 12th or the 21st of December. Suddenly I just can't remember. But anyways, it doesn't matter right now. So from that point, we were able to receive and connect with higher parts of ourselves, higher part of the reality and of the galaxy. You know, a lot of people have had pretty drastic personal events in their lifetime that led them to spiritual awakenings. This is a very common theme with the year 2012, at the end of 2012, and so coming on 2013. Maybe you can think back to your life then and see if there was anything along those lines, and if you can relate. But even if you can't, that doesn't mean you haven't been affected by these energetic changes. So now the organic energies and the organic processes are being restored. You know, the laws of creation, which we call the universal laws, are being restored back into the planetary fields. So we are starting to align with them again. And the natural organic process of ascension is now available to us again from that point. It's been made available to us again. And so this is the what we call the organic timeline of ascension. This is one of the bifurcating timeline. Now the other timeline is the one that was created and sustained by the matrix, by the invaders, by all the mind control and all the humans that are stuck in the matrix, that are sustaining and creating through their human DNA, their human ability of manifestation, are maintaining and sustaining this artificial timeline. Artificial because it's not the natural processes, because it was hijacked and interfered with against the free will of the people, because they were made ignorant and the knowledge was suppressed from them. So it's against their free will because they're not fully aware of what's going on. And so this artificial timeline was created, which is the one we've been on for those 26,000 year cycle that I was mentioning before. And so these two timelines, the artificial timeline, which is going towards transhumanism and merging with AI, which means being connected to an artificial form of consciousness, an imitation of consciousness, which is artificial intelligence, AI, artificial intelligence, merging us to it so that we can sustain its own timeline, which it created in parallel to the natural organic timelines of God and of creation. Okay, so these are the timelines of AI. And so this sounds a little bit, maybe this is a little bit much because I'm going a little bit higher over there. But this is important to understand, because when you understand these principles of those two timelines that were, so the organic timeline was completely overridden by the artificial timeline. And then suddenly the frequencies were able to make it through to the earth again. The higher frequencies, the organic frequencies, the universal laws, everything I mentioned before was back. And so we had these two timelines moving side by side for the last few years. And we are now seeing them separate. They are bifurcating. And the more we will go through time, the further they will go apart. So this is the concept of the bifurcating timelines. And so I think in today's reality right now, you look at what's going on in the world and the 2020 ordeal, I'm going to call it that, to avoid using specific words, but I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. We can see great division amongst the people, you know, those who are going for one perspective, you know, who are choosing what is organic, what is natural, what is aligned to the natural laws, and what are going for that which is inorganic, that which is artificial, not made by nature. Okay? And so we've been hearing about these bifurcating timelines for quite some time now. And when we talk about the new earth manifesting, how does that happen? We don't suddenly wake up and it's the new earth, okay? There's a transition phase, which is this slow divide and this distance that's being created between the two timelines that will keep on going further and further apart, okay? So this is the transition phase. And so for a while we're going to coexist, even if the timelines are not overriding each other anymore. They're apart, but they're still quite close together, and we can very well see that in the current reality on planet Earth, how we are coexisting with people who have radically different perspective of reality, of life, and of what is right and what is wrong, you know, coexisting at the same time on the planet. So again, the organic and the inorganic. And so to go back down to more practical terms and how this is going to manifest in the world, you know, we are seeing all these restrictions, you know, and these mandates that are passed. I'm trying to find words so that I don't get this video flagged. You know, those mandates regarding a certain medication that people should or should not take, okay? That's the mainstream narrative. And you can see that now businesses have to implement this divide on their customers, to impose it on their customers. Do you have the thing that is mandated or do you not? And then you're allowed it or you're not allowed. And then some businesses are going for it. They're just obeying, they're going for it. This is not for us to judge. This is what they choose to do, okay? They choose to go with it. Of course, I disagree with it. I want to say that, okay? But this is not my position to judge. Neither is it yours. And it's hard. It can be infuriating at times, but we have to really work on, you know, practicing free will and respecting it. So some businesses will go for it, go for these mandates, and go for manifesting this timeline, you know, of segregation and separation. Again, the separation, we see it again, separation of the timeline, separation of the humanities. So some businesses will enforce it, and some businesses will be like, no, I don't want that. I'm not going to enforce it on my people, because they don't resonate with it, because they choose to stand for another reality. And like, so I guess, I can only guess because we're not there yet, but we can already sort of see it, you know, where, you know, businesses will be set apart and there will be one side of humanity, one side of civilization going for these agendas and going for these things, and then the other side that will go for other things, you know, and we will start create new businesses and new models, you know, of operating together and within society. Money will probably be cut off from us, and so we will have to create another way of exchanging. And I want to say that for a while we will coexist. And the reason I'm making this video is so that I know it can be frightening when we see all these mandates being turned into laws, and we are like, oh, but I won't have the choice anymore. Yes, we have the choice. The natural laws, the organic laws, are being restored back on the planet, and they are overpowering man-made law. You know, we do not have to abide by man-made law. It's just an agreement. It's just a common agreement. We do not have to abide by them. The laws we are under are the universal laws, the cosmic laws, okay, the natural laws of creation. And so, when things are going to intensify on the mandate and restriction side of things, you know, we will still be able to do our thing. And this, I don't want people to think that this is naive or wishful thinking. You have to understand that we will exist at different frequency level where we will not experience each other. It sounds very complicated to imagine, but this is how it works. You know, we will be seemingly in the same room as people, but not experiencing the same reality. And this is going to last for a while because the timelines are going to take a while. I mean, it's going fast and it's not going so fast at the same time. I'm sure you can relate to that. But we will coexist and not experience the same reality. And I think you can already see that some people did that, for instance, during the times where we had to stay at home. I'm sure you understand what I mean. Some people would go against those mandates, you know, and still go out and do their things and never get caught by law enforcement, you know, entities, because okay, I don't want this is going to sound like wishful thinking, and I'm trying to explain this as best as I can. But basically, if you're on a different frequency, other people cannot see you. So we will be able to do things that are supposedly against the law, and the law enforcement people will just never be on our way. You know, they will never be at the same place as we are. You know, we'll never get caught. Never say never, but I think this is what is going to happen for the majority of us. So we will be able to do our things, go places, even though we do not have the thing that they want us to have, and do our own thing and create our own society in this way. So we are coexisting, but we are not experiencing the same reality. I'm not sure if this made much sense. I hope it did. I'm going to stop the message here because it's quite long already. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments, or maybe I'll make a follow-up video if there are enough questions or any questions at all. And I want to say that it's important to really stay grounded in truth, in our truth and our true vibration. It's really a time for us to stand our ground, and it's very hard because of the peer pressure and the mainstream narrative around us. I know I'm pretty lucky because my close family is on the same page as I am, but I know it's not the case for everybody. And I want to say that it's hard. It's really hard, but it's very important that we stand our ground, that we stand by our truth, by what we feel is right for us in this now moment, and that we stay grounded in knowing that these are the natural laws. These are our birthrights, you know, that were taken away from us and that we are reclaiming now. This is very important. This is very deep. It's not just for us, it's for the many generations ahead and the many generations behind. We want to honor them as well. Honor all the suffering that has been on planet Earth, all the genocide, the enslavement, the bloodshed, the theft of our resources. We're reclaiming all of that. We're healing all of that and reclaiming all of that. So no matter how hard it seems, know you've gone through so much worse. 26,000 years worth of pain and trauma that you've undergone and that we're coming out of. This is nothing, you know. We can do this. And we will. Sending you all my love, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.